I can't hear.
Hey, what up? Can you hear me?
Okay, good. I can hear now. Thanks, Zach. You guys, I have like a special little angel that's always around me named
To get it
Zach.
done?
We all need special angels around us to get it done.
Right.
Okay. So, well, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Texas 30. But I am sitting here with someone who is absolutely fucking amazing, but also my friend. And that is the next congressman from Texas, Texas 18, County Attorney Christian Menefee. Everybody clap it up. Whoop, 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 whoop. How do you do the thing, Zach? How do you do the thing? Okay. All right. So, but we are sitting here, and Christian, I just want to have a quick chat. Tell me about the campaign. Tell me how it's going. How are people feeling on the ground? And then let's talk about why in the hell you would want to come to this hellscape where we are currently in a government shutdown.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But first of all, Congresswoman, just thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and chat with you tonight. You know, I'm running for Congress because it was a thoughtful, compassionate, a helpful government that gave me my first shot at the American dream. When I was growing up, there were many nights I would not have eaten were it not for WIC in our household. There were many days I would have been at school on an empty stomach were it not for free lunch in our public schools. My parents would have never purchased their first home were it not for VA down payment assistance that allowed them when I was in high school to put just $500 down, and that's how we got our first house. Would have never went to college without a Pell Grant, and my brother almost certainly would have died from childhood cancer were it not for my parents' military health benefits that fully funded his bone marrow transplant, and he's been in remission for more than 20 years. So at every single step of the way, it was a thoughtful, helpful, compassionate government, and that's how you get somebody like me who went from a family that sent more people to prison than to college to me being the youngest person in the first African-American Harris County attorney. But look, the short of it is Trump and Republicans in Congress are trying to tear all that down. They're cutting SNAP benefits, they're cutting Medicaid, they're cutting Pell Grants. They're trying to pull the ladder out from folks who are trying to get fair access to their shot at the American dream. So, you know, I'm going up there to fight the same way that I fought back here in Texas, and to make sure that you got somebody in a foxhole with you when you're going to battle with Trump and MAGA Republicans.
Yes, and just so y'all know, I trust Christian wholly and fully to be in this fight. But let's talk about kind of like where we are. You mentioned a number of things that allowed and afforded you to be the amazing human that you are today, such as WIC and SNAP benefits. And right now we're in a government shutdown. And I just did a teletown hall yesterday where I talked about the fact that WIC is still going for now, but probably about November 1st is where things may start to dry up. Same thing with SNAP benefits. But, you know, talk to me about how you look at something like the fact that we're most likely going to see a decrease in SNAP benefits just in general because of the big ugly bill when those cuts finally hit in hundreds of millions of dollars. And compare and contrast that to what you see going on with the president deciding that we should send now not 20 billion but 40 billion dollars to Argentina, and give me an idea of kind of where you see foreign policy. And you are a lawyer just like I am, and when you're in law school they always tell you, you always are taught to argue both sides of the argument, right? And a lot of things that happen in DC right now, I'm like, ain't no other side, ain't no other side, right? But definitely right now, the Republicans are trying to find that other side of the argument as to why it seems like MAGA now stands for Make Argentina Great Again, because somehow they are going to get $40 billion from us potentially if they elect the right person, while American families are losing their health care, American families are losing their ability to eat, American families are losing jobs. Talk to me about, like, from a foreign affairs standpoint, what would it look like to kind of engage in foreign policy for you? And then with that, what types of committees would you be looking to actually serve on once elected to Congress?
These programs like SNAP benefits and Medicaid and WIC, they help so many families across our communities. In the 18th Congressional District, we have the largest concentration of SNAP beneficiaries of any district in the state of Texas. And I think back, to my old family, when we were at the grocery store and I would run to the back and grab the Lucky Charms and come back. And my mom was like, nah, you don't get Lucky Charms on WIC, right? You got to go get the old school cornflakes. But there are so many folks who that's how food gets in their bellies, right? Medicaid, Medicare is how they ensure that they're getting the health care that they need. And right now we see that the Republican Party is more intent on spending dollars in the largest transfer of wealth in modern American history, helping billionaires be more richer and helping large corporations with their corporate tax loopholes, instead of pouring that money directly into the communities, the people who need it most. It's funny, I was campaigning the other night and I was at an event and somebody asked me about balancing the budget. And it was somebody who I could tell was kind of to my right. And so many times when we talk about balancing the budget, the conversation is always centered around the social safety net, right? It's centered around the pennies on the dollar that we're given to folks in our communities to just try to pull themselves up and do better so that the next generation and their family can do better. But we never want to talk about things like sending $20 billion or $40 billion to Argentina. We never want to talk about things like inefficiencies in the military. We never want to talk about the massive waste across the Trump administration. And instead, they're cutting the EPA by 60% and eliminating the Environmental Justice Office that is within the EPA. My approach at this is simple. If you want to have a conversation about balancing the budget, cool, let's do that. But if your conversation is centered around trying to hurt working people, trying to hurt folks who are trying to lift themselves up, and trying to empower Venezuela, or trying to empower the military, or trying to empower inefficient agencies, then you're not trying to have a serious conversation about balancing the budget. You're just trying to have a conversation about making sure that real life human beings don't reap the benefit of our tax dollars. And I've been honest this entire time in this campaign, I'm running for Congress to help working people. I'm running for Congress to help the people who grew up in the same neighborhoods that I was in, who was in apartment complexes, right? Who was like trying to string together some coins to be able to go get some money, some ice cream from the ice cream truck. Like that's why I'm running for Congress. I didn't run for Congress to help billionaires. I didn't run for Congress to help large corporations. And I think that's something that the Democratic Party has to get back to. There used to be a time in this country where you could work 40 hours a week. You could get the house, the 2 cars, send your kid off to do better, retire at a reasonable age. But right now we have people working multiple jobs, still not making ends meet. They don't have any money to have a good time. And if something happens to their health, it can set them back multiple years. I'm running to restore the middle class and to make it so that we don't live in a country where the average income since the late 70s has gone up 18% for workers, but it's gone up 1,800% for the rich class. I want a middle class that can be built out where people have the opportunity to thrive in this country.
I'm so glad that you brought up something about medical debt and what that looks like, and how literally it can shift and change the trajectory of someone's future. Because the previous administration actually made it to where that medical debt that typically goes on your credit report, that it could not be reported and it could not detrimentally impact you almost on day one. I don't know if it was day one, it probably was. When Trump got into office, that was one of the things that he wanted to roll back, and he did. Yeah. That is one of the things that I don't think that we amplified enough as it relates to the work that this previous administration had done, because it really does make a difference. And, it's always so interesting to kind of just listen to you talk, because when people think about the American dream, you are that American dream. You are our ancestors' wildest dreams. When you think about how these programs work, people try to look at them and they say, oh, it's a handout. When people are getting $6 a day to eat on SNAP benefits, it is not a handout. Like it is a little bit of help so that hopefully you can go on and you can be successful and your children can be successful. And so in one generation, to go from being the recipient of so many of these governmental programs to being the head kind of civil attorney for the entire county of Harris County, which is the largest county in the state of Texas, as well as one of the largest counties in this country, and to be the youngest and to be Black. That is what happens when we make investments in the people, when we invest in our children. And that is why it is so insidious to see what is taking place, because I know what great things come when we just bet on us, right? And right now, they don't want any more Christian Menefees. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. They don't want any other little kids who maybe weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouths like the president. I mean, he didn't ascend because he was just that smart or whatever. Like, he did it because when he got into this world, he came into this world with a leg up. But all that you've done, you have worked so hard to get this far. And a lot of people, I'm sure, and then we'll go to some questions, because we got angels that are
Yeah.
watching. Um, I remember when you first told me that you were gonna do this. And listen, y'all know I'm real. I'm like, why? Why?
Ah,
Why, Christian? Why, honey?
boy,
You
you
have
broke
to
my
figure
heart.
it out. Like, y'all, I promise y'all. Like, and it's not even because I don't think he's beyond capable. Obviously, I do. But I'm like, I mean, we have this inside thing where I call Christian like the real attorney general for the state of Texas. Because have y'all seen the fool that is our elected AG? Have y'all
Right,
seen Kim Paxton, who wants to
right.
be the senator? Okay. Okay. I could go on for days and days and days. But that guy has never sued to protect the people. He has always been on these random things, or we've had to, pay off his side chicks or whatever. I don't know. Okay. He has not been focused. That's what I know. But when it comes to environmental injustice, as we've got polluters that are coming in and trying to have done in Black and brown communities, kill us while profiting off of killing us. It's been Christian that has taken them to court. When it came down to this administration and whether or not they were withholding funds that they were doing illegally, it has been Christian that has gone after this administration. Like, these are things that the attorney general should be doing. Okay. When it's come down to some of like the voting laws that have been passed, and Houston and Harris County had a big target on their backs because of how many people turned out in the midst of COVID because they wanted to be creative, because your fraternity brother actually was the one who was running the show at that moment, over how we would somehow get it done in the midst of all the craziness. And so I'm like, Christian, who I don't know who can fill that void, but I can tell you that I asked him, and he was set. I mean, Christian has a family. I talked about the travel. I did all the things. And right now you have what, is 16 of y'all in this race?
It's 16 of us in this race, and I just want to be very clear that Jasmine is dead ass right now. I called her. I was excited. I was like, "Hey, yo, I'm about to run to come join you," and she was like, "Why would you want to do that?" I had to get off the phone and tell my wife, like, "Oh, baby, I got to bounce back." But no, it was all
Yeah.
love, because look, the battles that we're fighting in the state of Texas are incredibly important right now. You mentioned earlier that folks don't want any more Christian Menefees. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. Roger Stone, when I put out one of my videos, quote tweeted and said, "We don't need this male Jasmine Crockett in Congress," right? At this point, you are becoming the face of the fight on the Democratic side in Congress, and I think that that's so critically important, because you're fighting right now. You've been fighting in this race. We got 16 people, but I like to say I've been fighting since before it was popular. You know this. Back in 2020, when I got elected as county attorney, we took a backroom office and turned it into a fighting force, basically the Democratic Attorney General's office for the state of Texas. When Kim Paxton and when Greg Abbott came in to Houston and tried to get legally cast ballots thrown out, we took them to court. We beat them. When the Trump administration more recently tried to get millions and millions of dollars of healthcare programs cut out of Harris County, we took them to court. We beat them. Every single dollar was restored. When they allowed concrete batch plants to overpopulate in Black and brown communities in the Houston area, but you won't see any in River Oaks or the white districts, we took them to court, and the state changed the way that they do concrete batch permitting in the entire state of Texas. So that spirit to not just fight, but to fight and win is why, when I get to Congress, I would love to serve on the oversight committee, right? I would love to have the opportunity to be in the mix, right? To throw some elbows. And look, at the end of the day, what I need is for a witness to be subpoenaed, to be brought before a committee that I'm on, and to just dismantle them. And I think that what you're saying is people want I've been knocking doors, and I went and I knocked this one door, and it was an 80-year-old black woman at the door. So she answers the door, and you immediately start thinking, I already know what she's gonna care about, right? So I'm like, oh, she want to talk about Medicare, she want to talk about Social Security. She said, young man, what are you gonna do about Donald Trump and them? I mean, that was just 100% straight up, right? People want folks who are going to be ready to take on the fights, to have real wins, to deliver results back to the community, because everybody is terrified about our country's slide towards authoritarianism. And I'm going to do every single thing I can to hold the line alongside, great fighters like you who are prepared for the moment that we're in. This is not, the 1981 Republican Party. Donald Trump is not the Dwight G. Eisenhower Republican Party. We are now in a different era. It requires different tactics, and we have to be more forceful. And as I've said on the campaign trail and in my ad, sometimes I got to get that smoke. And that is what we have to be prepared to bring. That's what you've been bringing, and that's what I look forward to bringing when I'm seated alongside you in Congress.
All right, my little angel. Question 1 from a Texas 18 resident, Lee R. When does Texas 18 vote? This is an easy one for you.
Yeah, it's a really easy one for me. So voting starts in less than a week, next Monday, October 20th. Early voting is the 20th through the 31st. That's a Monday through the following Friday. You can go to harrisvotes.com to see your polling site, and then, or any polling site. You can vote at any polling site in the county. And then November 4th is election day. And on that day, you can also vote at any polling site in the county. If you're over the age of 65, or if you have a disability as defined by the law, you can vote by mail. Those ballots, if they've already been requested, have already been sent out. And so folks can send those back in.
And just to clarify, I'll add to that, you have to already be registered to vote.
That's right.
Because the last day to register should have been what, October?
Yeah, past October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should have been like October 4th.
It was
usually 30 days before. It's 30 days before the actual election date. So hopefully you are all already registered to vote. But absolutely get out there and make your voice heard. Say what? Okay. All right, let's see. Oh. This is a good one. Trump called you radical for suing the administration and winning. Why did the White House call you radical?
Look, I have no idea. But when they ran the story, at first the Trump administration hadn't said anything. And then they came back and they were like, Christian Menefee is a radical attorney, blah, blah, blah. Look, I wear it as a badge of honor. We've been talking a whole lot about people's health care being cut, about their SNAP benefits being cut. We've seen this government is not interested in raising wages or investing in public education. If it's radical to file lawsuits, to hold those folks accountable and beat them, if it's radical to hold the line on public education, if it's radical to make sure that they know that if you do wrong by our communities, you're going to have to see us, then, count me in on it. But I was just as shocked as anybody else, because I was just a guy, just a county attorney, in the Houston area. But I think what that says is the same thing that the Roger Stone tweet says, which is they know the power of a young, diverse, dynamic coalition that is going to stand up for the communities that we believe in. It's going to use every single tool, hold them accountable. And they don't want us coming to DC, because, if you got 25 Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's in Washington, D.C., if you got 100 Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's in Washington, D.C., then it's going to be a long term for a president, right? And for a Republican Party. And so, my goal is, when I get out there, my goal is to do what I have to do so that I continue to be the thorn in their side on behalf of my communities.
Absolutely. Now, y'all can continue to ask questions for a little bit. Let's see. All right. Okay. Okay. So how can we help and get involved? And what can we do if we're not in Texas to help you?
Well, if you go to christianmenefee.com, we have a couple of ways that you can get plugged in. One is we need your treasure, of course. Campaigns are incredibly expensive. We just put our super dope dynamic ad on TV. If you go,
y'all, TV is expensive, especially in Texas. We are one of the most expensive media markets in the country. Go ahead.
No, big time. And our TV.
So don't just cut them commercials off. Watch them. Watch them. It makes us feel
right. Right, we putting up big bread to make this happen. But we're super proud of our TV ad. It was like creative and it's different. You see all these political ads that are kind of cookie cutter. On this one, my 4-year-old has a grill in his mouth. So I encourage everybody to check it out. So any dollars that you can donate to the campaign to help keep that ad up is a big deal to us. But also we have a bunch of virtual volunteer opportunities for folks who don't live in the district. So if you want a phone bank, if you want to help text. And then the third thing is spread the word. Houston is one of the largest cities in the entire country. Regardless of where you live, you probably know somebody in Houston. So follow us on social media. It's at CD Menefee on most platforms. Share what we're doing and how the campaign is going so that folks can get plugged in. We found that our message has very broad appeal, right? Like everybody wants to stand up to Trump. They want someone who has a track record of doing that and isn't just kind of creating that persona for the campaign. And so my list of things that we've gotten done as county attorney has been very compelling to folks. And so the more that you share it, the more it's going to get the word out and the better chance it's going to help us to win this thing.
Yeah. And here recently, you actually got the endorsement of y'all's biggest paper, the Houston Chronicle. So congratulations on that.
To be clear, Congresswoman, that was the second biggest news in the week. The first biggest news of the week was we were endorsed by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. I just want to be clear. Just so we're clear. Okay?
Nobody cares about that part. But just so y'all know, though, when I do endorsements, so let me be clear about something. I don't endorse very often. I am very particular about my endorsements because once I endorse something or someone, that means I am investing my own treasure. So I'm not just out here being like, oh, yeah, vote for the person. No, I'm going to send them money. I'm potentially going to get other people to send them money. In addition to that, so yes, you can donate right now. You can go to Christian Menefee. Give the website again, Christian.
ChristianMenefee.com.
There we go. ChristianMenefee.com. Okay. And I show up, like I do work. So I will be in Houston this weekend. It will be boots on the ground. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it clear that Christian is best suited. And I want to be clear about something else. I ain't got no issues with nobody in this race or whatever, but I actually know multiple people in this race and have known multiple people in this race for years. And I can tell you one of the other stories that I didn't go into. There's a number of stories I can tell you about Christian. Number one, he always shows up. So before he even knew he would have an opportunity to run for this seat or anything like that, while both of his predecessors were both still here on earth with us. And we had no idea that literally we would be sitting here today, having lost both of them. Anytime I called, now I'm Dallas, y'all. He down in Houston. But we would have like the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference. And I'm like, can you do this panel? Can you come through? And he's never told me no. In addition to that, the very first time that we actually met in person, we knew who each other were and some other things. But like the very first time we met in person, y'all have seen me in committee. Y'all know how I am in committee when witnesses are in front of me. Christian has been a witness in front of me, y'all. I'm telling you, he ready. He is ready. He had to come testify in front of me.
You got me shaking.
And he survived. So that tells you everything you need to know about why you need to go and vote for Christian Menefee. Real quick, because I'm gonna check in with Zach in 2 seconds just to see if he's got anything else. I mentioned your predecessors, and I'm lumping them together because they are both amazing warriors in their own right. And so I think knowing that you had a relationship with both of them, I don't want to cheat either one by just talking about your most recent predecessor, which is the late great Sylvester Turner. But can you talk about like what impact, if any, having those relationships with both Sheila Jackson Lee as well as Sylvester Turner has had on your decision to run, and what type of ideas you have about kind of your governance based on the relationships that you have with the two of them?
Yeah, I was very close with the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and the late Congressman Sylvester Turner. Sheila and I went back from when I first got involved in politics. Like I said, I challenged a 3-term incumbent, and there wasn't not a single elected official in a county mile who was going to be with me. But she actually called me and said, "Hey, young man, come with me. You're going to go to churches with me." And that's how we met. I got a random cold call from Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee in 2020. But we grew very close. We worked together on a number of issues out here, and her passing was absolutely devastating. But she was just a true public servant. Well, what I learned from her was to never accept no for an answer, to work hard as
She never
hell.
did.
Look, she'll call me at 11 p.m. Hey, what's up? What you doing? I need you to call FEMA. But she was just she was a fighter. She was she worked tirelessly. And then the thing I loved about Sylvester Turner is, and I'm sure we got some brothers on the call tonight. When there is an older Black man who was so eloquent and well spoken and could be fiery when he needed to be and could be precise and surgical when he needed to be, and had just come off of being our mayor and was just such a fantastic spirit. We were very close when he was alive, but I didn't realize how close until he passed, and just how it hit me, how it just was like a kick in the chest when he passed. But what I learned from Sylvester was to be surgical, that it can't be a one size fits all approach. That's a man who you could put in a room full of CEOs and he could dress them all down, and you could send him out to the barbershop and he could dap everybody up, and he's going to talk to both of them the exact same way. I just learned so much from both of them, and it just taught me to have confidence in standing zealously for my communities. When they were trying to expand the freeway more deeply in the Black and brown communities out here in the Houston area, I teamed up with the late Congresswoman and with the late Congressman. He was the mayor at the time, and we filed a lawsuit against TxDOT. It's a $9 billion project, and we were able to temporarily block it while we got concessions to try to protect some of those neighborhoods. They were just fearless. And so the legacy of this seat, and before them it was Craig Washington and Mickey Leland and Barbara Jordan, and of course Erica Lee Carter. There's a rich legacy in this district of being a voice, not just for the 18th, but for a national constituency, being unapologetically who you are. Did it cut off on you too?
Oh, okay. I was like, what just happened?
No, but the short of it is, look, there's an important legacy here, and it's not lost on me. Barbara Jordan helped topple the Nixon presidency over Watergate. So, like, it's a rich legacy, and I understand the expectation, and I plan to fully carry out that legacy. I'm running to be Christian Menefee in Congress, but I'm running, with the ancestors having lifted me up and the work that they did when they were here.
No, I love that so very much, because walking into Congress as only the fourth Black woman to ever be elected to Congress from Texas, and coming in after someone who served for 30 years, definitely the pressure was on. And so many people were like, what are you going to do, kid? Right. And the one thing that I told people all the time was like, I'm going to be like my predecessor, but I'm going to be a remix. Because I can't ever be her. Like, I can't ever be her. And there's a level of greatness that she reached that made complete sense for the time and that kind of stuff. But even when she chose me, she specifically said, times have changed. And this is somebody who had been in elected office for 50 years, one of the first two Black women to ever swear into the Texas House. And for her to say that, I knew like that things were getting real crazy. So it is heartwarming to know that you knew them and that you understood them, especially the point about being surgical. There's so much that people don't see about kind of this job, and it does take working together. And while I know how to put people in their place in order to get things done for your district, you have alliances that just aren't necessarily the most public thing, right? And so literally the biggest thing that I got done for my district was getting an ARPA H location into my district. There were only 3 that had been authorized in the country, and we are the only ones to get one to a red state, and it came right to my district. But that was me working with now the incomparable Kay Granger, who went ahead and retired. But this was the most powerful person, arguably behind the speaker in the House, because she was the chair of appropriations. So I was like, if I get Kay on my side, we gonna get this done. We gonna get it done. That was my philosophy. And she really was. She was a good partner. And we got almost every single Republican in North Texas on board to sign on so that we could get this, because
Mm.
while it was coming to my district and it's currently located in my district, it was going to benefit the entire region. And so I am thankful for my colleagues that at least will do some work behind the scenes to get things done on behalf of our shared constituencies. And that is what it's about, is being able to kind of do both, like slap you down, winning if necessary, but being able to come back to the table and make sure that we get this work as well. Okay, let's see. What is this? Um, what if Speaker Johnson does not want to swear you in?
So we've seen that has happened with Adelita Grijalva, who just got elected.
We gonna have the Epstein files by the time you come. I don't think they're gonna be stressed.
Yeah, look, my short answer was going to be, look, we're going to turn up. If the Speaker of the House of Representatives will not swear me in because he is playing politics with people's representation, we're going to turn up big time. It's going to be a major problem, and we'll do everything, single thing we can to make sure that the entire nation knows about that day in and day out. So, we'll see how that shakes out, but I am prepared for that, and we will definitely turn it up if that happens.
Yeah, hopefully. Again, I mean, right now they're afraid of the Epstein files, and
Yeah.
she's number 218. So it's also really disappointing what the governor did. When I look at how late he set this election, and for people that don't know, it was you that actually said, well, let's go to court about this, because he was taking forever to even set the election. And these elections matter so much. People don't understand that this big ugly bill that we've been talking about a lot, because now it's open enrollment season, so people are starting to see how their insurance premiums are going to be impacted. But the premiums mostly are being impacted by the fact that the big ugly bill passed. The big ugly bill only got out of the House by one vote. We had 3 vacancies on the Democratic side because we lost 3 members, and it was actually Sylvester Turner who passed away first, and his replacement is going to be chosen last. That is because Abbott decided to play games. If Abbott had done right by the people of Texas 18, then most likely we wouldn't even be dealing with the big ugly bill. The entire country would be in a better position because you would have been there, and that one vote would have made sure that it did not pass. So I want people to understand how important it is that you make sure you go out and vote, because every single vote counts. When you look at something like the entire trajectory of this country got changed by just one vote, that's how powerful your votes are as well. Most people don't know that I was a thank you Lottie into the Texas House, having won the closest House race, state House race, that particular year, winning by only 90 votes. Right. So who knew then that I would then go on to go to Congress? But it is so very important that we pay attention and we vote during every election. So this is a special election, and there's a lot of people on the ballot. There's only one name that matters, and that's Christian Menefee. So make sure you get out, you vote. Christian, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say, but I just want to say thank you so much for having the courage to stay in this fight. And I know that while some people only change their mind about legislation when their children have an issue, I know that you have some amazing little kiddos. And I know that every single day that you wake up, you are thinking about how can you not only protect your children, but other people's children, and ultimately future kiddos in this country for decades to come. And so I thank you, because you have been living a servant's life for some time. And Lord knows, living a servant's life can be a lot. It can be a lot. It can be a lot. But I know that you are made for such a time as this. And I am truly humbled that you would think that it makes sense for you to come and work with me in this building. And specifically that you would even consider going to oversight committee. God bless you. We'll have some more conversations about that. But y'all know I'm gonna try to talk him out of that too. But I've not been successful. Everybody I've tried to talk out of it was like, we coming. And I'm like, y'all don't want this. It's crazy. No, but you would be an amazing addition to oversight. You know, it's always great when we add another lawyer that can just get there and grill. And you know, Pam Bondi was in the Senate. here, I guess, last week. She was also supposed to be in the House. I was waiting on Pam, y'all. I'm still waiting on Pam. Me and Pam gonna have our day. We gonna have our day. We gonna have our day. Y'all gonna have to tune in for that one.
She knew better. She knew way better. Look, I appreciate you so much for providing me the opportunity and the platform here to have this conversation. I'm number 9 on the ballot. And look, for the past 4 years, I've been fighting Greg Abbott, fighting Ken Paxton, doing the exact thing the Democrats across the country want to see. They want folks who are going to stand up, who are going to throw the punches, who are going to land the punches when it matters most. That's who I've been as county attorney. That's exactly who I'll be in Congress. So, look, there's going to be no greater honor for me, Congresswoman, than to be able to sit next to you in some committee hearing or something, and we can hit them with the Coleman love, the fire ice, whatever we need to, in order to throw the 1-2 punch. But I'm number 9 on the ballot for the folks who are in Harris County or in the city of Houston who are out there watching, and I just really appreciate you taking the opportunity today. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Bye.